Welcome, children.
Welcome, brethren.
We are diving in deep. This is technically probably podcast 4,
5, something like that.
is it?
The other ones,
First
though.
ones are straight up Garbo.
Well, I think because we did the initial ones where we were not in the same location. And
Yeah, it was like on Google
latency
Meet or something.
latency in
man.
between each other. I cannot go back and even watch those because
know.
it's too painful to watch.
It's pretty rough.
But
They exist. Legacy
Yeah.
content at this point.
mm-hmm.
So, well, why don't you tell the people, what
Or
are
many people.
what the plan is here?
Yeah, well.
Where
it's-
are we?
Yeah, where are we? So it seems that we have been very loose with kind of what our idea of the channel is, what the identity of the channel had been previously, to where, video game content mainly focused on Nintendo sort of stuff. And it feels that we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants. We're like, hey, here's an idea. Let's kind of dive into this. Here's an idea. Let's do a Let's Play. And so I kind of felt like we were not very focused or had a very solid identity.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like after having some discussion and deciding to solidify a few things, it makes it a little bit more of an identity that we might have, or that at least we're shooting for.
Yeah, and I feel I've kind of mentioned this in my little Sean's Corner. Well, I guess technically the first podcast of the modern day.
Sure, yeah.
Right? We are kind of making a shift where we want to have a focus or kind of a niche around people who are into fitness and they are also into video games. And I think there's a lot. We have a lot of friends that are that way. I think finding that balance is key in life because, I think just in general, there's kind of been an awakening around the health space. More people
Definitely.
understand you need to be healthy. You need to focus on longevity because not only does that affect your physical body, obviously, but how long you're actually going to live. And
Sure.
do you want to play games and enjoy your life with your kids when you grow up, right?
Well, that's the thing, and that's where I feel like the balance is important because you don't want to just be a pleb that just sits around all day and just plays video games,
No.
especially with a family, right?
Yeah.
And neglecting the family, not developing that relationship with your family. Finding the balance to where we can still enjoy the things that we grew up playing and having fun doing, which is
Right.
video games primarily. But then the other kind of nerd sphere of anime and even getting into a little bit of manga.
Yeah.
Different things like Lord of the Rings and fantasy sort of stuff, D&D sort of stuff
I would
for
have
me.
never read manga in high school.
Right, yeah. And so, but having that balance to where we can still enjoy those things,
Mhm.
but then we can also have a healthy lifestyle, both physically, mentally, spiritually,
Yeah.
and incorporate our family life into that as well, to where, our wives maybe don't necessarily care so much about the nerdy things, but just the concept of having balance in our life and being able to have a good relationship with all those different realms and spheres, and in our sort of way, meshing those together in
Yeah.
different ways, I think it's really important. And I think, like you said, there's a lot of people out there that definitely want to have a community that has and supports those same ideas.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for how we've been starting the channel, we just today is our first podcast. That's why everything's still a mess, kind of, right? And
It's not that bad.
I just had a baby, or my wife had a baby. We had a baby about 7 weeks ago now, and so huge life adjustment. Brian has 2 little boys, and so the podcast is very different than it was 8 years ago.
7 years ago, yeah.
So what we're kind of doing here is we're building, or we're kind of in the process. It's been semi-built, a home gym in my garage. And so Brian's driving up. It's nice enough to drive up. And as part of the podcast, we're doing a fitness side of it to start. And then we'll dive in. We'll come down here in the basement and start tackling the actual podcast itself. So we'll have, probably rather than including the fitness part in this podcast, we'll have a separate part of the channel, but then people can tune in and see what we tackled. And we'll probably do some anime focused workouts, some One Punch Man maybe workouts, and I did kind of a fitness challenge leading up to my son's birth, and so now it's jumping back into that and then challenging each other so that we can get in the best physical anime manga
Baki style kind of bodies.
Yeah, exactly. While also being able to like still enjoy and play video games and talk through the
Exactly.
things that we like.
Well, and just as far as like the formation or the format, I guess you could say, organization of the channel, I do think that it's just our personalities that we're so interested in a lot of different aspects, but kind of circumscribing all of those different ideas and those different interests that we have into one channel, but having it organized, like you said, to where there'll be a playlist where we can have our workout kind of videos on there, and even more in depth to where if one of us has, you know, one of the cameras set up and filming the workout, and the other person can have their phone out and kind of more of a VOD style or vlog, style sort of thing, where all right, we're gonna do this and yada yada. But having that side of the channel, having Sean's Corner, Bits with Brian, and then having combined videos, not just the podcast, but then other videos that we work on together that we both have a combined and shared interest in.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be in the future. But having it all organized so that people can know where to go to kind of dive into their specific niche interests.
Right.
Because everybody will have their different desires, their different interests.
Yeah.
And I think combined,
Even
the
in
two
the
of
same
us,
realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The two of us have a varied variety, I don't know, of interests. And like, you know, you be more focused on the retro gaming side of things.
Yeah,
and
for
me
sure.
more of the I don't know, I guess I would say the story elements of things, but
Yeah.
I mean, what it for you is with Sean's Corner, what do you feel like you're going to focus on?
Yeah, I think for the most part, it's going to be focused on like trying to find a balance, right? And like looking for ways to incorporate minimalism and digital minimalism into my lifestyle, while still enjoying video games and enjoying like, and finding that balance, like minimalism, right? It's owning less physical, having less physical clutter, but then the digital minimalist side is like you're still enjoying physical things and you're kind of removing the excess digital things in your life, right? And so I think partially that, because I think that's huge. I think it's important in like today's super over consumeristic world, especially in the video game space. Like it's buy more, get the new console, right? And then, so it's kind of finding a balance there to where you can enjoy more of what you have by having less. And I think it's like the curated collection side, right? Like I kind of talked through that a bit. And the goal here is like to have a very curated collection of like not every N64 game ever, but it's the games that mean something to us that we grew up playing. Yeah. Or even something like Shadow Man, like that game we didn't play growing up, obviously, rated M, and we would not be allowed to play that game. Or Conker's Bad Fur Day, but like those games are amazing. Yeah. And like those are ones that I want to go back to and play, right? So I think
focusing a little bit more on lifestyle and incorporating with your lifestyle and like you said, the minimalism side of things.
Yeah, and I think also you mentioned it briefly, but just like the retro game side, like it's kind of funny in that span of when we started this channel versus now. I did like a lot of the buying and selling. The amount of stuff I've sold on Mercari, like and eBay and locally, like so much to get to this point where basically, I mean, other than my time, which was a lot, I'm sure. This whole collection is like I've made money on it. Like I haven't spent money. It's basically been free.
Well, and just going a little bit back to like the idea of your mentality changing a little bit when it comes to how you want to kind of live your lifestyle with games and whatever else, and how it went from a very kind of, I would say, big collector's mentality where like, oh, I want all these games and have that, to where it's a more curated sort of thing. Even just that dynamic change in yourself, I think is something that a lot of people would connect with and vibe with, because we're always constantly changing, and how you get a lot of people that have a lot of consistency, which is cool. But I would say the majority of people have a very dynamic and constantly shifting lifestyle, to where
that's true.
Learning how to balance those things and how to really refine your own interests and what you want in life, both with gaming, you know, health, fitness, whatever else, understanding who you are. And that's part of, I think, growing up and discovering your identity. But I think that's something that a lot of people would also connect with, is even just that journey that you went on to get to this point. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think the the goal is to continue to curate that and like focus on the games that I do want to play through. And like, it's, you know, if you buy or even if you purchase something and you don't love it, then like it's okay to get rid of that. Like helping people understand like you don't
Sure.
have to hold on to everything you collect, but it's also okay to hold on to the things that mean something.
Yeah.
And that's that balance between minimalism and digital minimalism and being careful with consumerism and all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot that I think I want to get into, and
Yeah.
a lot of them will be like talking heads, and that'll develop. I'm sure this is going to develop too. But yeah, I guess on your side with Bits with Brian, because for you in that span, I feel like anyway that you like D&D was a new thing.
Yeah.
And that like you
True.
become a DM. Like at first you just tried it out and you had
Mhm.
there was a different DM, Dungeon Master, right?
Yep.
That was in charge of your guys' group, and then you quickly kind of realized like I could do this, I could do it better. And so now I am part of the D&D group and you're the DM, and
Yep.
we have our own group. And so I mean that's just kind of, I think you mentioned story building and world creating,
Yeah,
right?
well-
So what does Bits with Brian look like now, or is
Sure.
it still Bits with Brian? Is it something else?
Well, I mean, I like Bits with Brian. It's, you know, alliteration's always fun. But
yeah.
initially, I don't know if my thought process was like just short little snippets about information. I don't really know where I was going with Bits with Brian. But I do like...
Well, I think at one point it was maybe doing like you reviewing or diving into Pokemon ROM hacks.
Yeah,
I
that
think
was gonna
maybe.
be that was an idea. It never really surfaced, but or materialized at least. But yeah, it I don't really know exactly where the direction I was gonna go with it. So I did a lot of, when we decided to revive the channel, I did a lot of, I wouldn't call it soul searching, but you know, figuring out what within
It's soul searching for me.
See,
It's mental gymnastics for myself.
figuring out exactly what interests me at the core, right? What is my core interest with everything, with the nerdy realm of things? Not that that's a thing, but just with the nerd sphere and video games, anime, all this other stuff. What really interests me to the point to where why I'm sticking with that, right? Why do I enjoy D&D? Why do I enjoy playing video games? Why do I enjoy watching anime? All these things, it seemed to boil down to the storytelling element
Yeah.
of all those things, and how we connect with those story elements, how we develop relationships as people with those stories and with those storytelling elements.
Sure.
And that's really, I think, what interests me about playing D&D and being a dungeon master, where I can create this whole world, and I have all my friends with their characters interacting with this world, building the story together to where afterwards we say, huh, you remember that one time, right? Same thing with playing video games. I find it very unrewarding to play a video game by myself. Nobody else is playing that same game. And I beat this game, spend 60 hours in some game, looking back and saying, well, I guess that was kind of fun.
Hanging out in Chow Garden for 100 hours.
No, but even then, it's like you know that
Yeah.
feeling of playing Sonic Adventure 2 Battle,
Yeah.
going in the Chow Garden, developing your chows,
Right.
and hearing the little noises they make, right? But so to where I can have a more meaningful relationship with you, is as corny as that sounds,
Yeah. No, I get it.
because we share that connection
Right.
with that story side of things.
Whereas like Minecraft, I have no connection to Minecraft.
Sure. Well, and that's a big reason why Minecraft for me, when I played it, really felt like a waste of my time, because I never interact with anybody. There's servers and whatever else you can jump onto where you can play
Dedicated, soulful.
with other, people who are autistic like me, and you can play together with other people, even to the point where you hook up your microphone and you can talk to people, like proximity sort of stuff.
Sure.
But like,
yeah.
I don't know what about it. I just never really wanted to do that.
Yeah, like it'd be
And-
meaningful if you like went to some kind of land thing where you were in your local area and everybody
Sure.
had Minecraft.
Or some other friends that enjoyed
Yeah.
playing Minecraft with me that we could jump on once a week or something and play, right?
Mhm.
But because that isn't there,
Yeah,
I don't feel like it's meaningful by any means, right?
sure.
And again, there's not really too much story element there, but just the togetherness that
Mhm.
gaming really brings people, or watching anime together, even if you're watching it in separate places,
Yeah,
and come back and say, oh, dude, have you gotten to episode 4 yet?
Right.
It's freaking crazy. And like, oh yeah, I did, dude. It was so cool. And you're able to have that connection.
Yeah, for sure.
And much of that revolves around the storytelling elements of it, right? And so
Sure.
what I'd like to focus on with Bits with Brian is the storytelling element. Not that I'm a master or a genius when it comes to storytelling stuff. I'd like to learn more about it and understand the finer details of why certain elements of a story are meaningful and how impactful
Yeah.
how the authors or storytellers make them more impactful, right?
Mhm.
Because that to me is interesting.
Yeah.
But it might be into video game theories, Zelda theories. It might be into
We have an insane Majora's Mask
oh, yeah.
theory, and it's amazing.
yes, I'm
Brian's
excited
done
for
a lot
that.
of work for that.
But
so.
but even not just theories, but like, again with the Zelda kind of idea, where game concept ideas, right? Story concept ideas, where it's like, who was, and this, stay tuned. But this will be one. But who was the fierce deity Link, right? What was his story,
Yeah.
right? He's not just a mask. There was a story, a history behind that. Who was that person, right? So, and if it's 100% just fan theory,
Yeah.
even stuff like that, because it's fun to kind of dive into the story of what could be.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think even as little kids we used to do that, and I don't think we realized it, but I think as kids we'd be like, man, like talking about Majora's Mask, what was the civilization that was totally just like wasted
Sure.
in Iconic Canyon,
Yeah.
right? Like, and we've gotten into that a lot more as we've gotten older, but even as a kid, you love that mystery part. Or when
Yeah.
you're playing through Breath of the Wild even, and you see like these Zonai ruins, and you're like, what the freak was this, right?
Mhm.
And even if Tears of the Kingdom never existed, all of the theories and fan theories and thoughts and ideas make that like that mystery. The mystery is almost more fun than the actual story.
I was about to say the exact same thing. Yeah.
Right?
And I do think that there are times where things need to stay a mystery,
yeah.
because once you are given hard truth about what something is,
Mhm.
sometimes takes the fun out of it, right?
Totally. Like
And-
Hollow Knight. Hollow
Yeah,
Knight.
exactly.
The mystery of Hollow Knight, it's like it gives you just enough to be like, I kind of get the story. I understand
Yeah.
kind of what happened, but like there's so much left unanswered because that makes it more intriguing.
Yeah. It makes the world feel more dynamic, more real.
Right.
And-
because in real life we don't have all the answers
Exactly.
either, right?
And being able to and I mean real life, you look at like conspiracy theories and
Oh, yeah.
strange things out there that are unanswered questions.
Totally.
And how even there's a huge community, I guess you could say, of people who love murder mysteries, right?
Yeah.
Unsolved cases, all these different things, and how with that mystery, it brings a lot of intrigue, even if they're never answered, right?
Yeah.
And so,
More than like solved cases.
sure, yeah, solved cases, meh.
Yeah.
Next, I'll read the
Oh, unsolved
TLDR,
mystery,
and
yeah.
and that's it. But so anyway, yeah, with Bits with Brian, that's my hope and goal is really to dive into the storytelling elements of things,
Cool.
and it could be very varied. I need to find a better way of saying that, but it could be varied in different
A
ways.
variety.
But ultimately, it's going to boil down to the storytelling element for the most part.
Love it.
So,
No, I think we're gonna have a lot of great content, and it's fun because when we can get together and sit down, and hopefully we're able to do it a couple times a month.
I would love that.
Be able to do that, have a podcast in this format, and let this develop and build, and really dive into like specific topics, not just talk the broader. Like obviously right now we're talking the broader scope of what we're looking to do, but then in between, some theory videos coming out potentially, some different world building, and some of my individual ideas and my ADD OCD brain just like letting it run. And I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of people, like I've done a lot of research. YouTube's been an awesome source, and
Yeah.
I think my hope is, and our hope is that we can build a channel that is focused, like we talked about, around fitness, longevity, and our nerdy video game interests. That creates the kind of community and the brotherhood that we have with others online, because I feel like I've gotten that in certain levels from other YouTubers that have been able to dive into topics that I've looked for advice on. Again, like
Sure.
even minimalism, digital minimalism, other hobbies and interests that I have, like they've been able to have a conversation or do it some kind of way to be able to talk through what they had to overcome.
Sure.
And then you realize like, oh yeah, okay, maybe I should try some of those things as well.
and you'll feel that sense of, I like this guy. I feel like this dude could be my friend. I feel like we have a similar way of thinking.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a lot of the appeal to YouTube and to different social medias to where you find your group, you find your friends, so to speak, the people you jive with. And so that's really, I think, what the goal would be, to help reach out to those people that want to have a cool, fun, kind of, in a way, trying to be supportive brotherhood between us and whoever else wants to be involved.
Yeah, totally.
And just like earlier when I said, I was saying the exact same thought. That's going to happen a lot, but
same brain.
Yeah, same brain.
I would
we're like brothers but closer. No, but really that's what I would hope to have, so that people can feel connected, and even to the point to where if there are people that are, not that I'm going to be like somebody's therapist, but to the point to where if somebody feels like they need a pick me up in the day, and they say, hey, well, at least I can jump onto YouTube and look at Super Farley Bros new content, and it's just fun. And hopefully we can really create something that is meaningful to not just us but to other people, I think is the main hope and goal.
Well, and I think just what you said right there is what I kind of wanted to touch on this, like we kind of wrap up, is I think there's a lot of content out there where like we hope to talk about like the Switch coming out, right? I think you're the one that got me into the Switch. You were the one, like day one, you found a way to scrape the money to get to get the Switch and Breath of the Wild, and I was like, yeah, maybe, okay, I don't know. And then later that year, I got super into it and like playing Mario Odyssey, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I think just like it revived Nintendo, and that's something that now the Switch 2 is coming out, and it's like there's a lot of questions and rumors, and we're not going to be the channel that's like every day there's a new rumor, oh, I gotta hop on and make a video, right? Because I kind of find that obnoxious, like when there are updates, like that's kind of cool, but you can kind of get too obsessed with the rumor mill. I think we will talk about things like, hey, there's been like, we haven't connected for a couple weeks, here's the podcast, we're sitting down, let's chat through some of these rumors and discuss what we're excited about, what we hope to see with the Switch 2, and like what we expect to see from Nintendo for the next X amount of years.
Well, and our perspective is going to be unique than other people's perspectives, and like you said, there are the people that will jump on 30 minutes after and have a video posted 30 minutes after some new news came out,
right?
And great, that's great. We're not going to be that channel, but that's great that there are people that will be there.
Their purpose is to try to capitalize on the interest, right? And they're trying to build their brand. And like, while it would be cool to see this build and grow, like I think ultimately we just want to be able to have this opportunity to sit down and talk to each other, and talk through what we care about, and then also get a lift in.
There you go.
Once in a while. So
get our pump.
Yeah. So I think that's what we're looking forward to. I think we're gonna have a lot of opportunity to dive into a lot of new topics, and like, again, not just video game, maybe it's manga, maybe it's anime in some ways, but for the most part it's kind of the meshing that nerdy side with the health and fitness side, and then trying to see how we can build a community around that.
Because I think we're definitely not alone in that interest, like we said, and it's something that I think a lot of people will find beneficial and worthwhile. And hopefully we can get a lot of enjoyment ourselves out of it too, which I think we will.
Yeah, and I think so. To wrap up here, I think it's kind of, I just thought of this as we're sitting here. We probably won't connect for another couple weeks because we're going to be heading down to Mom and Dad's, be in Colorado. So maybe the week after we'll be able to have another workout and have the gym more complete. So we can get in there and have a solid workout and then come down here and
film it.
Yeah, we'll film it and add it to the channel. But between now and then, my action item for you is
a little homework.
Is I'm going to have you read through the first deluxe edition of Berserk. Don't keep it away from your kids.
Oh yeah, I have to do that. Keep it away from the boys. They will rip pages. So.
Well, and they'll be mentally scarred for the rest of their lives. So that's what I was thinking of.
Too.
But read through that just to get, and again, you don't have to go through the whole series like I've been doing, but just to give a little bit of you'll blast through it. You can get through a book in a night.
Sure.
No joke.
Yeah.
It's just colorful.
No,
non-colorful actually, black and white images. So that's your homework.
Okay.
And then when we regroup, we'll dive into some more topics.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. See you later.